Welcome to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes a show business. Well, whenever you're starting a business, credit is an issue because businesses have no credit. And so how do you build business credit? And we got Ty Crandall, CEO of Credit Suite, with us today. Learn more throughout the discussion at creditsuite.com. So Ty, welcome to the program today.
Jamie, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So first question is, when you're starting a business, when do you start to build credit? Because we're all used to, getting credit under our own Social Security numbers, but how does it work with a business and a tax ID number?
Well, it's exactly the same, really. The minute you obtain a tax ID number, you can start building business credit under that tax ID. Just the same as you have a credit profile that's linked to your social, your business can have the same kind of credit profile. And you can use it to obtain loans and be able to get credit cards, credit lines, auto vehicle financing. Many of the same things as you're using consumer credit for now.
When I was 16 years old, my dad got me a credit card, had like a $100 limit on it because he wanted me to start building a credit history. Should you treat a business in that same way? As soon as you start a business, get a business credit card with a limit on it, and should you kind of go about that in the same way?
It's a little bit different. In the consumer credit world, you're right. Usually your credit profile starts with a small limit credit card, a secured credit card, or some kind of co-signed loan. In the business credit space, it's typically started one of two ways. Either you have good credit and you're out getting Visa cards, MasterCards with a personal guarantee that you will report to the business credit reporting agencies, or the other and more conventional way, because it has no credit check, so regardless of credit quality, you can get approved, is through accounts like vendor accounts. So like Uline and Quill are perfect examples. These companies will give you credit when you have none, and they report it to the business credit reporting agency. So just by getting access to credit with them and buying supplies, shipping supplies, things like that, you're actually building your business credit at exactly the same time.
Now, what were the names of the companies that you said there? Let's go through those again.
Well, there's a lot of them out there, but Uline and Quill are two of probably the best to start with because Quill sells office supplies. So all of us, you need office supplies. And Uline sells shipping supplies. So those two, there's a lot of things that people can find. And typically you can go there, put items in your cart, go to checkout. They offer you an invoice me option. You choose invoice me and you're done without even giving them a credit card or a social. And typically they'll ship your order right there. You've been given credit. Sometimes they'll say, look, you're not there yet to offer credit. And then in those cases, if you place 2 or 3 orders on the second or third order, they'll approve you for credit. It's really just that easy.
So how does the credit monitoring service work with business? Personal, we're all familiar with Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. How does the business side work?
Well, Equifax and Experian have commercial divisions, and they're very popular in the business credit world. But Dun & Bradstreet is really the dominant force in the commercial credit world. So Dun & Bradstreet really doesn't have any position in the consumer credit world. So it's new to a lot of people that aren't familiar with commercial credit. So Dun & Bradstreet's by far the biggest business credit reporting agency. Experian comes second to them. And then Equifax as well. So they can go to monitor credit with all 3 of those and build credit with all 3 of those.
Now, how soon before Dun & Bradstreet typically picks up somebody's tax ID? And is there any steps that one should take to say, hey, I'm a new business, start watching me?
Well, the first thing, and it's a great question, because the important thing to do is you need to get started with business credit. It's very different than consumer credit. With consumer credit, you'll never be issued a profile and score unless you apply for credit, take steps to start one. In the commercial credit world, Equifax and Experian, just if they pick up your demographic information, such as your SIC code, and oftentimes they can get from your Secretary of State from your annual reports, they'll immediately populate a report, and then they'll immediately give you a failing business credit score because you have no commercial credit. So we see that quite a bit with people that go in to apply for loans and credit cards and get denied because of bad business credit, when the reality is they don't have any credit at all. Why they have a low score is because they have none. Now, Dun & Bradstreet's a little different. They require 3 accounts to be reporting before they'll actually start your credit profile and score. Whereas, again, Equifax and Experian, with only your basic demographic info, will do the same thing.
So how does the business credit monitoring services then rate somebody? We're all familiar with the consumer model, like 300 to 800 or whatever the scale is. How is it in the business world?
In the business credit scoring world, there's a lot of different scores. It's very common to pull your Dun & Bradstreet credit report and see 5 or more different kind of scores that indicate different risk. on your actual report. But the main credit scores that are used in the business world range from 0 to 100, with 100 being the best and 0 being the worst. The difference is in the consumer world, scores are based on a lot of things, like how long you've had credit for, the credit mix or the type of credit you've had, your utilization, your payment history. In the commercial world, it's basically just based on your payment history. So it's very good and it's very easy to get really good scores because all you need to do is get some accounts with places like I mentioned, like Uline and Quill to start, pay your bill as early as you can after they ship the product or services that you actually ordered. And then you can, get a good score just based on the payment history. So 100 literally means that you're paying early. An 80 literally means that you're paying as agreed. And then where your score falls under that literally is depicted by how late you're paying the actual bill.
At what point does it become the business can stand on its own, so where they can go to a bank and get a business credit without a personal guarantee, or does that ever happen for the entrepreneur, the small business owner? It definitely
can happen. If you look at the definition of a personal guarantee is there because your business doesn't have enough credit to stand on its own. And if you look at a company like Dell, obviously Michael Dell is setting there with applications and filling into social, but a lot of us think it's just because they're Dell, and that's not the case. The real reason is if you pull Dell's credit report, they have an extensive credit report with a lot of history on it. So any company can do exactly the same thing and build a business credit report from scratch. And then it kind of is based on tiers. So if you have, 5 of those kind of vendor accounts we talked about, then you can start to get credit at most stores, Dell and Apple, and Office Depot, Staples, and BP, Chevron, Sunoco, Sam's Club, Walmart, Amazon. They all offer commercial credit that doesn't require a personal credit check. You don't even need to supply a social for approval. And there's also no personal guarantee. Very easy to get that within about 60 days of starting to build business credit. Then when you get about 10 total trade lines, you start to get into fleet cards, which is where you get fuel and auto vehicle repairs and maintenance. You can also then start getting into cash credit cards, Visa cards, MasterCards that don't require personal guarantees. And you can even then get auto vehicle financing, which, believe it or not, takes less than 6 months to get to this point, all without a personal guarantee, without a personal credit check. When you start to get to loans, they look a lot deeper at the credit report. Your credit report says how many employees you have, what your revenue is. So other factors start to come into play with loans. You even have what's called a bank rating, which is an internal credit score that only banks have that they look at. So they just start to look deeper at more different factors to determine if you need the personal guarantee or don't. But it really comes down to how many trade lines or accounts are reporting on your business credit reports that you have. The higher number you have, the more credit that becomes available to you without the guarantee and without the personal credit check.
So it's sort of like starting with the store credit cards, the companies that you mentioned earlier. You're kind of getting like that store's credit card, and then for the small business owners. So that's kind of the first step to building business credit then, correct?
Well, it's starting with the vendor accounts, the Uline, the Quill, and then escalating from there. And really, this is very similar to the consumer world. You couldn't walk into Staples with no credit report, no score, and get approved for your first credit card with Staples. They just don't do that. They need to have some established credit before they give you a consumer credit card. That's why you start with the co-sign loan, the small limit credit card, the actual secured. The only difference is in the business world, vendor accounts take the place of those other options in the consumer. And then once you get some credit established in the consumer world, then you can walk into the Staples, the Home Depot, but you can't yet get a mortgage. Same thing in the commercial space. Then once you get some more store credit cards, your limits get higher, auto vehicle financing opens up, mortgages open up. It's really very much the same in the commercial credit world. The biggest difference is that in our world, when you progress is really dictated by how many accounts or trade lines you have reporting at your credit report at time of applying for whatever it is you're applying for.
And then the gold standard being the Dun & Bradstreet commercial credit reporting agency. And again, I get letters from them in the mail. I've got 2 different businesses running. I get some stuff from them in the mail. But is there, like I said, when you first start to set up, is there some type of communication that you should put out to them to begin to let them know that you're in existence?
Well, Jamie, that's a great point. The thing to be aware of Dun & Bradstreet is the letters and the calls you're getting are solicitations to buy a product from them. And it's basically called Credit Builder. And they'll sell it to you for about $150 a month or about $1,500 one-time payment. They offer all different kind of pricing based on different scenarios. That's not something anybody needs to pay for. You can take the steps we've just talked about, get vendor credit, escalate to store credit and beyond, without needing the personal guarantee or credit check and without paying D&B a dime. So if you respond to one of those letters or take their call, they're going to try to sell you a product. That's what they're ultimately trying to do. So the first step is you can go right to our website at creditsuite.com/reports, and you can access all 3 reporting agencies to do a free search to see if they have a record on you now. If they do pull up a record, then you want to probably get credit monitoring with them, which you can go right to our website again and go to creditsuite.com/monitoring and get credit monitoring. And then in doing so, see what's on those reports. But if nothing pulls up with your search, well, then you know nothing is already established. At that point, you want to go get your free DUNS number with Dun & Bradstreet. You can easily Google free DUNS number, go through that process. Again, when you do it, they'll be soliciting you to buy the products just like we talked about. But your DUNS number is free, and getting that is the first step of getting set up with D&B. With Equifax and Experian, you don't need to take such step. You just need to get accounts that report to them. And as you get accounts that report to them, use those accounts and pay the bill, your profile will automatically populate as those accounts get reported.
Currently talking with Ty Crandall, CEO of Credit Suite, where they help you build a business credit. You can learn more at creditsuite.com. Stay tuned. We got another segment with them when we come back from the break on That Business Show 2.0 with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. We're back to That Business Show 2.0 with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. Today we're talking with Ty Crandall, CEO of Credit Suite. Learn more at creditsuite.com. So Ty, how did you find the business credit world from your own business?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. My first company that I owned was a mortgage company, and I thought I was just awesome at running a business because it was the height of the mortgage industry. Come to find out, like anybody could succeed as a mortgage broker at that time. And I was there through the crash, so I lost everything because I personally guaranteed everything for my business. So it hit home, but I didn't know there was another way, as most people don't. So my next segment was I opened a consumer credit company, helping people, repair and fix their credit after the crash. And along the way, a lot of business owners came to us and said, "Man, you've done a great job helping us. Can you help us with business credit?" And at the time, I'd spent 12 years in financial services, knew nothing about it. And when I dove in and realized what it was and that nobody was talking about this, it touched me personally because I realized I wouldn't have been in this situation if I would have known. And so at that point, I just decided that was going to be my mission in life, was to spread the word to as many business owners, entrepreneurs as I could that, hey, this exists. Here's how it works. Here's the steps. So people can at least have a choice whether they build their business with personally guaranteeing everything or they go the way it's supposed to be, which is getting rid of that personal guarantee and letting their business basically fund their business growth.
So you built up a business and then the market crashed. And so I guess you were left hanging with a lot of debts then. Was it difficult to just rebuild your own personal credit?
Well, it was interesting. It took time. It absolutely took time to do. I was able to get a lot of things removed from my credit report because a lot of things that are put on credit reports aren't in compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And then a lot of it was just time. Once I got to the 7-year mark, a lot of the things I couldn't get removed got removed. So I built that consumer credit company, and then I sold it after about a handful of years and got completely into commercial credit. And I've been here ever since.
Now, does credit repair, I know that's a big business out there on the consumer side. Does that also work in the business world?
Well, the business world, it's not needed as much. The consumer world, the reason credit repair exists is because of a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which regulates how the bureaus and creditors must handle data. And so you can work within that law, FACTA, even RESPA. There's so many laws out there that have compliance requirements from credit issuers or from the bureaus that you could basically use to hold them accountable for what they must be doing. And when they're not, get items deleted from the credit report. So credit repair is very effective, and we don't do that on the consumer side, but it is very effective because there are so many consumer laws that are designed to protect protect you. And so many credit issuers are just really messing with data the way they're not supposed to legally. And once they're caught, items get removed. In our world, there is no Fair Credit Reporting Act. So there is no regulation of how creditors or the bureaus actually handle data. As a matter of fact, if you look at commercial credit reports, you can't even find the creditor's name. It's a category. So Staples is office supplies. You never see Staples on there. But it's very easy to fix business credit. If somebody it has items on their credit report that they don't believe to be inaccurate, they can go right to Equifax or Experience Credit Monitoring Service online and dispute those. They can also go right through iUpdate through Dun & Bradstreet, which is a free service that doesn't require credit monitoring. And they can also update their information there as well. From my experience, if they do that, then every case I've ever seen, the item gets deleted. But it's pretty rare. Most people that we deal with that think they have bad business credit, they just don't have any. And that's because most trade vendors don't report the data to the Business Credit Reporting Agency. So even if they're defaulting on credit, it never ends up getting reported.
Interesting. Now, Credit Suite, how do you work with clients at Credit Suite then?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things we do. I mean, our mission here is just to make capital accessible for anybody that wants to start or owns a business. It's that simple. And so what we've realized is that there's a lot of funding out there for small business. It's just not available at the big banks. SBA loans are fantastic if you have the great credit and the collateral and the cash flow and the tax returns, but most people just don't have that. So what we do is we work with every legitimate loan and funding source out in the business space, and we help business owners basically find all the funding products that will work for them so they know their option, help them through the funding process. And then we help with all aspects of building business credit for their EIN that's not linked to their social as quickly as possible. So we like to say that we take, years of business credit building experience, and we just condense it down into months.
Through the years, I've got a number of different, business funding letters. I've even called on a few just out of curiosity, but they're always, quick money, but very, very, very high interest rates. Are they all like that?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, the most predominant program that's out right now is called revenue lending or cash flow financing. And the reason these people are sending you mailers and calling your phone, unsolicited, is because there's a lot of money to be paid by the people that help originate those loans. It's not uncommon for people to get paid 8, 10, or 15% of the fee to them just because they helped you find that loan. So obviously, there's so much money in play that lenders have sprung up everywhere. Brokers are offering mainly that program because of that. But there's, on the other side of things, there's a whole other world where money is much more affordable. Literally, a friend of mine just called 2 days ago and said, I want that because it's fast and easy. I said, no, you don't. Here's another program that's just as fast and easy. His rate was 0.6%, literally a little above 0.5% for an actual credit line. So there's a lot of programs out there that will focus on you having good credit or you having some type of collateral or even having good consistent cash flow that don't have those really, really, really high rates. You just don't hear about them as much because people don't make as much money to actually offer them. So there's not as much money that they're putting in to actually solicit them through Google and direct mail and all these other places.
So you're saying there is a market out there for business investment that's not the sharks out there that's just trying to make just huge returns on
Sure. A lot of the financing that we work with is usually in rates of the 5 to 8% range. I mean, that's very common and very equivalent to what somebody's going to get with SBA. And then when you start to get into the fast, easy money where they're just looking at your bank statements, when they tell you you've got to be in business 1 year or they need $10,000 a month in revenue, that's when you really get into the very expensive money. And as you said, it can exceed 25, even 45% on the money you're borrowing. So it's not money you get just to have money. It's money you get because there's something you're going to acquire or something you're going to do that you stand to make a huge return on. Then it might make sense. But in most cases, if you're not going to immediately invest that money with something that's going to give you a huge return, it really doesn't make sense for a lot of business owners. There's just so many other options that can work in regards to lines and credit lines and loans with rates significantly cheaper of the 5%, or like I said, there's even a lot of options out there in the 1% to 2% range as well.
Wow, incredible. And so Credit Suite then works with business owners in all walks to help them with the funding, the credit line. What about credit repair? Do you get into the credit repair side of that too?
We don't do anything in the consumer space. All we do is work with business owners. But if anybody needs credit repair, of course, we have all kinds of contacts that are in that industry we can refer people to. But that's just not our world. We don't really deal with the consumer credit side of things. We really just don't work with consumers. Everything we do is helping business owners obtain capital, whether it be that credit that's linked to their business EIN or whether it be some type of commercial loan or credit line.
Now, so you've been featured on Entrepreneur Inc., Forbes. I always like to ask people, because this has to do with just the level of influence. How do you make those contacts? Because I feel it's just so important for businesses to get out there and be in front of people as an influencer. How do you make those contacts?
I believe strongly that in building a business, you do so by helping people and by giving free information. And so that's always been our philosophy here. If you go to YouTube, you'll see we have hundreds of videos and we do live streams. We teach people how to do exactly what we do. And we find that there's people that take our advice, follow our advice, have great luck, and become our best testimonials. And then there's a lot of people that want the faster, easier way and choose to work with us directly. So what's interesting with this is that they all come to me now. Ever since we just pour so much free information into the space, we're often, invited and solicited by these sources to contribute to articles, to write articles for them, to actually host webinars for them. So Entrepreneur Inc., they all actually came to us, seeing us as an authority in this space to help them, whether it be delivering email content, whether it be articles, those type of things.
And for you, the niche type of individual, who's a good person to come to you and work with you at Credit Suite? Should somebody, as soon as they open up the business, give you a call, or do they need to be established for a year before they start talking about this?
Business credit's something you should build right from the beginning. Unlike consumer credit, anybody can see your commercial credit reports. So your competitors, your prospects, your clients, anybody can easily and very cheaply look at what's on your business credit reports. It's your reputation. It's your credibility. So you want to make sure that you grasp that and get a hold of it as quickly as possible. Plus, look, the bottom line is most small business owners fail because they can't access capital. And if you don't build your business credit, it's as hard to get money without business credit as it is to get money on the consumer side without consumer credit. So it's something that businesses should do right away. Obviously, if people have cash flow, consistent cash flow, good credit or collateral, we can help them obtain more business loans, but we can also help them obtain business credit even if they are just getting started, even if they don't have collateral, even if they don't have good credit.
Well, good discussion. Ty Crandall, CEO of Credit Suite. Learn more at creditsuite.com. Any closing thoughts for our audience there before we sign off?
The couple things we already talked about. Make sure you go to creditsuite.com/reports. Do that free search to see if you have anything reported now. We've also got a great guide at creditsuite.com/EIN. That's creditsuite.com/EIN that maps out in detail the exact steps to build business credit. Talks about how many accounts you need reporting to move through those tiers, and basically just gives everybody the step-by-step process to be able to build credit for their business EIN that's not linked to their personal social and doesn't require a personal guarantee.
All right. Good discussion. Ty Crandall, CEO of Credit Suite. Thank you so much for being on the program with me today.
Thanks, Jamie. I had a blast. I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Absolutely. Learn more about the program, thatbusinessnetwork.com, where all shows are made available on demand, in addition to on iTunes and on YouTube. All shows streamed each weekday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on thatbusinessnetwork.com, as well as facebook.com/thatbusinessshow. And again, visit tbsinterview.com to learn how to come onto the program. You've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.